Welcome. We will get started in a nice upright seated position. So get length in your back. Imagine that you sit up against the wall. Relax your shoulders down. Just make sure you don't have any tension in the neck. Close your eyes. And this is our starting point. Finding a breathing pattern that's going to work well for you in this practice. It will not be a strong flow. Instead, it's going to be more of a relaxing, stretchy type of class. Equalizing your inhales and exhales. Understanding the importance of your breathing pattern on the yoga mat, even if it's not a strong class. The breath comes first. Now that you've established the breathing pattern, slowly open your eyes. And as you open eyes, grip your knees with your hands. You sort of wrap your hands around the knees. Get the arms straight. On your own exhalation, tuck your chin around your spine. Inhale, arch in the back and look up. Exhale to tuck and round. Inhale to arch and look up. Continue with the movement. Explain what's happening. So we are warming up in the spine. We're getting a bit of flexion and extension in the spine. And this directly comes from Kundalini Yoga. It's a warm-up, and we usually go a little bit faster. And at the same time, we usually don't turn the head or move the head up and down. But we're just exaggerating the movement by getting the cervical spine to play along. So just keep making big movements in the spine. So we can open in the chest and warm up in the back. You go at your own pace, the pace of your breath. With the last inhale, keep breathing and hold it here. So you're pulling your chest forward so you can look up. Just feel the nice back activation. Exhale to a neutral spine. Place your right hand to the outside of the left knee, opposite hand at the back. Nice deep inhale. Exhale, push the arm into your leg to help you twist. Inhale, come back to center. Switch, take the opposite hand to the outside of the leg. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale, twist. Inhale, bring it back to center. You can get the soles of the feet together, move your knees up and down, feeling into the hips a little bit. And now straighten your right leg. Get the left ankle over the right leg. Make big circles with your ankle. So you can use your hand and just get maximum range of motion through the ankle and change rotation. So do the opposite side or opposite rotation. Switch legs, sort of working through all the joints here. Maybe if you feel a little bit of discomfort or stiffness in the one ankle, you might want to stretch it out. Maybe you find a position, you pull, you hold, now change rotation. But if you're holding, that's fine. This is how you check in with the body and make sure that you're making the most of this more gentle practice. You can straighten the leg Let's bend the opposite knee, pull it into your chest, flex your foot, and straighten. One more, just bend, full range of motion there, straighten, do the opposite side, bend, bring it in, and straighten, bend, pull in, and straighten. Now step your feet nice and wide, hands supporting at the back. Before we start moving the hips around, draw the shoulders back, lift in the chest, and just get the hips to not touch the mat. So just lifting, now getting more weight onto the feet, bring your hips down, and then let's move from side to side. A little bit of internal rotation for the hips. So we got into the ankles a little bit of flexion and extension in the knees, and now a little bit of rotation in the hips. Take it back to the spine soon, and then bring it back up to center to get to all fours. In the all fours position, just like our very first seated position, rounding and extending in the spine. So tuck your chin on exhale, round your back. Inhale, arch, dip in the shoulders. Exhale, round. Inhale, arch. Just feel into your spine. Keep moving and link your breath and movement. Just feel into your entire spine. And then with an inhale or exhale, depending on where you are, bring it back to a neutral position. Tuck your toes, take it up into a downward facing dog. Now this is where we get into the lower legs and potentially the shoulders. So walk out the down dog, feeling into the calves, the lower legs. Then at the same time feeling into the shoulders. If you move your hips from side to side, you might even feel a bit of a stretch in the lats. Now bending knees, make your way into a seated position, and as you get to seated, we'll start by getting the left leg at the bottom, knee pointing forwards. Take the top leg over, so right foot over. A bit of a glute stretch, but we'll combine it with a bit of arm work. The right leg at the top. Let's then do the right arm on top as well to not get confused. So left arm at the bottom, right arm on top, and first you stay in this upright position. If this is difficult, you can always use a strap or a towel, sort of grip hold of the towel and walk your hands a bit closer together. Bit of a stretch for the shoulders, more so perhaps for the top arm's tricep. So the triceps are getting a nice stretch here. Keep length. But when we do this forward bend, you're more than welcome to release with the arms and bring your chest down onto the top leg. Before we get out of the stretch, maybe you can just relax a little bit deeper, stretch a bit further. And then using an inhale, make your way back up. As you come up, switch legs. Opposite leg at the bottom. Opposite leg over. Once we get into the shape, take a nice deep inhale. Just do the same with the arms. So if you struggle to get into the bind, you use your strap. Better hold. Nice straight spine. When we go for the forward bend, there's no need to stay in this bind with the arms, so you can release and then make your way into a forward bend. As your body gets used to it, you might feel into the posture a bit more, going a little bit deeper if it's possible. Such a nice and effective glute stretch. You can make your way back up. And as you come up to seated, take both legs wide. This is not about stretching as deep as you can. It's about feeling into your body and getting the best stretch for your body today. So legs nice and wide, hinge in the hips. You can find the ankles. You can find the outsides of the feet. You can have your hands shoulder distance out in front. If you feel very tight in this one, you can even place your hands slightly behind the pelvis. But the idea is to work your chest and chin a bit closer to the floor. And be mindful. Feel the activation through the legs. Feel the nice stretch along the inner thighs. If you feel very intense stretch on the insides of the knees, you have the option of slightly bending your knees and pushing your heels into the floor. And that's going to allow you to take a bit of that pressure or very tightness on the insides of the knees. It's going to relieve that pressure. So find a position that works for you and hold it there. This is not yin, it's not passive, it's active. Legs active, lengthening in the spine, hinging in the hips. Inhale, make your way back up. Bring your legs out in front. Step both feet onto the mat. Flex your feet. Grip hold to the outsides of the feet. You might have to readjust here, so get the heels close enough so you can sit back and balance on the sit bones. Get your feet in line with your heels, at least your heels in line with your knees, and hold this position. Focal point just over your big toes. And very slowly Bring your heels back down. Wrap your arms around your shins and place your forehead on your knees. Inhale. Coming up. Straighten your left leg. Step the right foot in. Flex your front foot. Nice deep inhale, raise your arms. Exhale into a forward bend. So if you don't manage to grip hold of the foot, it doesn't matter. As long as you turn your body into this forward bend shape, if it's intense on the knee that's bent, you can slide your foot forward slightly just to increase, or at least in this case, to decrease the angle of the joint. Inhale, straighten your arms, lift in the chest. Exhale, release, and switch. So right foot is in line with the right hip when you extend the leg. You can go with that modified option if you want to look after your left knee more by just sliding the foot along the leg into whatever shape feels comfortable for your knee, and I'll take both arms up. Exhale, turn it into a forward bend. Just know that if you slide your foot closer to the opposite foot, meaning you take it away from the inner thigh, more towards the knee or front foot, then it's going to be more difficult to work the bent knee down to the floor. So we compromise a little bit in that hip opening, but you perhaps look after the knee if it's a bit tender. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, release, and make your way back up. The idea is to get into a lasana or plow pose, to flip upside down, but you wouldn't do this turning your head, so you want to keep the neck still, get the weight on the shoulders, and go back. If you're not familiar with the movement, or you're not comfortable with the movement at least, then first just get a visual. I'll simply just lie back and take legs over my head. If it's a bit too intense, bend your knees and rest your knees close to your forehead. But get upside down, don't turn your head, and hold. You can keep your hands on your back. Just as a reminder, it's almost as if your waist, your hips will push into your hands, and in turn, it'll shift weight onto your elbows. That's a good sign. You want a bit of weight on the elbows and triceps. Slowly start to lower your spine closer to the floor. Wrap both arms around your legs and just actively squeeze your legs towards your body. It doesn't matter if you bend into the knees. It's just a nice way to work the base of the spine closer to the floor and still getting a stretch in your legs. So the legs can be soft. You'll still perhaps experience a bit of a hamstring stretch, but it's so nice to get into the back in this fashion. And then very slowly take it all the way down stepping feet onto the mat. So a little bit of a bridge pose before we do fish pose. Feet shoulder at least hip distance. Pushing feet into the mat. Use an inhale to lift your hips. You've got the option of interlacing your fingers under the body, walking the shoulders closer together, or you can hold on to your ankles. In this case, I will find my ankles, walking the shoulder blades a little bit closer together, and hold. Should feel quite nice on the back. If you squeeze glutes, you lift your hips up. Feels like a nice strengthening posture for the back. Now very slowly on the exhale, lower down. Straighten your legs. Place your hands below the body. As you get the hands under the bum, tuck your elbows. Use an inhale to lift your chest. Relax your head back, crown of head onto the floor. And take nice deep inhales and exhales. Slowly relax back down onto the mat. Take your knees into your chest. You can now grab hold behind the backs of the knees, rocking back up into a seated position. As you get to seated, straighten your legs. So Lasana is a good preparation for Paschimottanasana. So we'll be doing the straight leg seated forward bend. Find your big toes. If it's not possible, find your ankles. Take a nice deep in-breath. Exhale, leaning forwards and stretching both hamstrings at the same time. Just keep breathing in that shape. We are going to finish off with a glute stretch. Legs active. Use the inhale to do halfway lift. Exhale, release. Cross your legs. Get hands onto the mat. Let's step it back into a downward facing dog so we can do our deeper glute stretch. On inhale, take your right leg up. Exhale, bring the leg down onto the mat, placing the leg behind the hands. Bring the back knee down. Walk your back knee further back. We aim to keep front leg at 90 as much as possible. If it's not entirely 90, it's okay. You can stay on hands or come down onto the forearms. Or alternatively, come down onto the mat all the way. If you want to extend your arms out in front, you can. But aim to move forwards with the chest and down to the floor. Holding this glute stretch. This one we're going to hold for at least 2 minutes. If it's too intense to go all the way down, stay on your forearms. And let's hold it for another minute and 15 seconds. arching in the back in order to move the chest forwards and down. The way we'll get out of this one is by firstly getting up onto the hands. Tuck your toes. Walk your back leg forward slightly. Straighten your back leg. Push away from the floor. Step it back. And taking your time, walk it out in a downward facing dog. Just feeling into both legs before we do the left side. So once you're ready, use inhale to raise your left leg. Exhale, placing left leg behind the hands. Walk your back knee further back. This is how we really get the groin closer to the floor. And you come down onto the forearms if it's possible, or take it all the way down onto the mat. It all depends on your flexibility. Keep the front foot flexed. We're keeping the leg active. Flexing this foot is just a better sort of activation for the knee in itself, being in that external rotation or the hip. We hold it for 2 minutes. Chest moving forward and then down. Another way of thinking about it is arching in the back, pretending that you're doing a back bend. And that's also going to allow you to just get a little bit deeper into the glutes. Another minute to go. Important to keep the hips square. So you don't want the right hip to lift up to ceiling. That's in a sense a way to avoid the posture. Now we can only avoid the posture to a certain extent. You will still get a stretch. But it's just a bit more effective, keeping hips square. So getting out of this one, you first get up onto hands, tuck toes, walk the back knee closer, straighten back leg, push away from the mat, step your left leg back. Once you get into the down dog, walk it out. It's time to get back onto the mat on our backs to finish off with a nice spinal twist. So bending knees, make your way into seated, and from seated, straighten legs, relaxing down onto the floor. And as you come down, bend your left leg, drop the left knee over to the right, gaze in the opposite direction. And I'll come back to center. Straighten left leg, bend the right. Take it over to the opposite side for a nice spinal twist. This type of movement or posture is also quite a nice glute stretch, and not as deep as your pigeon. Now to finish off with this more gentle, stretchy class, you can firstly bring your way back to center. And then we're going to finish off in a nice nice corpse pose. Elbows relatively close to the body, but the hands further away. No tension in the legs, feet flopping out to the sides. Lift your head, tuck your chin slightly, and place your head back down. Just feel that you've got length in your back and your spine. No tension in the legs, waist, your hips, your lower back, your shoulders, and last but not least, your face. Closing your eyes, allow the breath to be normal, and stay in this relaxing position for as long as you want.